Now I know this isn't the most pleasant of sights to begin a video with, but it's 6:15 on a blustery, wet December morning, and in a couple of hours I'm supposed to be going on my first flying lesson. I don't do mornings.
What's the dress protocol for a flying lesson?
So a bit later than first expected because the weather is disgusting. It's not right for flying at all. The cloud level is too low, it's raining, it's cold. So we've delayed it until about 10 o'clock this morning to see if it clears up a little bit. But as is the way with flying lessons, it's all weather dependent. So this could be the first day of flying. It might not. We will find out in a bit. Well, it's amazing the difference a couple of hours makes to the weather. It's still a little bit blustery and it's still bitterly cold outside. It's 2 degrees currently. But the cloud cover is high enough and my instructor for the day, Mark, says it's all good to go. So we're en route. We're on our way to Old Sarum. We're very nearly there. It's also quite astonishing how much difference a couple of hours can make to my clothing as well. Continuity. Who needs it? Just driving past Old Sarum Castle, the airfield is literally just to my right here. I can see the windsock, and there is a crosswind I can see, but the nerves are just starting to kick in. I'm going on my first flying lesson. I'm going to learn how to fly an aeroplane, which is possibly one of the coolest things I've ever done. But to coin a phrase, right now, I'm bricking it. Well, this is it then. Old Sarum Airfield, and what a beautiful day to fly. It's amazing how just a couple of hours can make such a huge difference to the weather. Walking out to the aircraft right now. This is Kegs. But this is not the aircraft I'll be flying today. Nope. We're going up in Oscar India, which is this little beauty here. A Piper P-28 Warrior 3. It's quite a pretty little thing, don't you think?
Oscar India is ready for departure. I'm looking to make sure there's nobody.
330 degrees, 15 knots.
Nobody coming in on finals, which there isn't. I'm lining myself up on the centre of the runway. There's a bit of a cut strip here. It's put in for the caravan when it was going off really heavy, and you'll see that there's a couple of brown splodges where people have crashed on the runway and the grass hasn't recovered.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try and avoid those. So I'm holding the aircraft on the toe brakes. I'm applying left aileron. Okay, feet on the floor, please. Thank you. And you can follow me through for the next takeoff. I'm applying full power. I'm making sure I've got 100% load. I'm releasing the brakes. So my heels are on the floor now. And I'm steering using the rudder pedals. I'm going to steer away from that brown splodge of a hole because I don't want to try and make it worse. I'm looking down the runway. I'm hoping to achieve 45 knots by the time I go be in the tower. Just got there. Aircraft starting to get a bit light on the controls. I'm starting to ease back on the controls. And it goes into the air. And as you can see, there's not an awful lot of runway left by the time we go flying. I'm applying a little bit of right pedal to compensate for the power that I've got applied, and we'll be talking about that later. I'm looking to fly the aircraft up at 65 knots. So as we climb up, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
It is now, yeah.
Thought that it wasn't going to be very nice, I don't know. At 200 feet, I'm going to check that my temperatures and pressures are all okay, which they are, and I'm going to raise the flap nice and gently, lower the nose, just to let the aircraft accelerate slightly, raise the flap, and then I'm looking to climb the aircraft at 75 knots. Clean, as it's called, that means the flaps are up. And at 500 feet, I start to turn to the right using 15 degrees angle of bank. Of course, the 500 feet is above the ground or the airfield, so we're started off 250 foot up already.
Right.
And what I'm doing now is I'm going on our visual departure route down towards Alderbury. Try and stay inside Figsbury Ring, which is just coming up down here on the left-hand side, and you probably don't know a lot of the local landmarks, but if you look down to the left, you see that old Iron Age hill fort.
Yeah.
Okay, and then at 1100 feet, I'm going to lower the nose, and we'll accelerate and head towards Alderbury. Accelerate it a bit, bring the power back to the cruise level, and you see it's got marked cruise on there, and then trim the aircraft out. That is a mnemonic that we could give you, and hear on and off for the next few hours of attitude, power, trim. And it's the only time we use attitude, power, trim. Most of the time we're going to use power, attitude, trim.
Right.
You'll see what we're talking about. So I've got the city of Salisbury out on the right-hand side. The sun is very low this time of year, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as you can see, into sun, my visibility is quite marginalised by the fact that the sun is so low. If I look behind me though,
It's lovely.
lovely
Yeah.
day. Controls. When I give you control, I will ask you to do something.
Okay.
Might be all sorts of things, okay? But when I do give you control, I'll tell you what to do, and then you go off and do it after you say, I have control, and I'll say, you have control. So follow me through on the controls. What I'd like you to do is just have a little play with the aeroplane, okay? Just to make sure that it does what you'd expect it to do. So, you have control.
I have control.
Okay, so if you move the control wheel to the right, looking out over the nose all the time, you'll see right wing goes down, left wing comes up, just as you'd expect. Okay, if you push the controls now, you'll see the nose goes down.
Yeah.
But it's going down relative to the aircraft, isn't it? So pull the nose back up again, so above the horizon, okay? You see that happens? You've centralised the controls, the aircraft's staying where it's going.
Yeah.
Move the control wheel to the left. Left wing goes down, right wing goes up.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the first lesson that I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Okay, following through on controls, I have control.
You have control.
Now, if I was to move the air controls quickly or slowly, okay, it will make very little difference to what the aircraft does. It's the size of the control movement. Okay.
Right.
So for the most of this exercise, I know I'm pretty good looking, but look out the front, okay, of the aircraft. Don't bother to look at me. That's why we've got headsets on. We can talk to each other. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move. If you do look inside of the control wheel, I'm going to move it about that much. Okay. And I'm going to do it slowly. Look out the window and see what happens. That point. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next time I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it really quickly. Okay. Look out. See what happens. A bit faster, but not much, if you see what I mean. So it's the speed of the movement has no bearing really on what the aircraft does. It's the actual size of the control.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like you to follow me through on the controls, please.
Okay.
Okay. Now what I'd like you to do, when I give you control, is have a little play with the aircraft, and I'd like you to tell me whether you think it's more sensitive in pitch or in roll. You have control.
I have control.
So move the controls left and right, see what you think, and make about the same sort of movement with the forwards and backwards with the pitch.
That's well, at the same time as rolling it.
Well, no, just you've looked at see what has more of an effect.
Wow.
Is it pitch or is it roll? For the size of the movement
Oh, for
you're
the
making.
size of the movement.
How sensitive is
I
it?
would say it's the roll that's. Sorry, it's the pitch that's more sensitive
Pitch
than
is
the
definitely
roll.
more sensitive, okay? And that is fairly common with most light aircraft, is they are very pitch sensitive, roll-wise not so.
Yeah.
Okay?
Is that the wind or is that me being very sensitive? That's the wind moving us around, isn't it?
No, because we are flying a solid mass of air that's moving over the countryside.
Okay.
Okay. The aeroplane doesn't know that the air is moving over the countryside. The wind will not have an effect on us apart from it being relative to the ground.
Okay.
Now sometimes it's a bit bumpy because, as you can see, Wiltshire's a bit crinkly.
Yeah.
And in the lower levels you get a little bit of turbulence caused. Sometimes
Right.
at high level you get turbulence. Clouds can cause turbulence, convection can cause turbulence, all sorts of things like that. But at the moment the wind is having, the only effect it's having is blowing us that direction.
Okay.
Now, as an example, if you're looking at our airspeed now, what speed are we doing?
90? No, 80,
85.
85, that's the part.
I've got a ground speed indicator from my GPS system that says I'm doing 60.
Yeah.
And that says 87, something like that.
Yeah.
So 27 knots of wind, roughly,
Yeah.
affecting us or stopping us from making headway.
Right.
Okay? Okay, so with the wings level and everything normal, put the power lever forward, all the way forward to full forward. And now it's a bit less of a
It's not as dramatic, but
Not
you
as
can feel
dramatic.
it. She's lifting
and it's going up and it's going
slightly to the left,
right to the left. And if you look inside now, you'll see that the ball is out to the right.
which will mean step on the right to
Yeah.
bring the ball back in again.
Yeah, so back to cruise then. And what we're going to do is in exercise 7 and 8, we're going to show you and teach you how to keep the aircraft in a straight line when we're climbing and descending using not only power but also rudder.
Rudder, okay.
And that's why I say the ham bone is connected to the foot bone. So every time you're
Do
going for
something
full
there,
power,
you're doing
you're
something with
squeezing
your
with your feet. Right, the next thing we're going to do, okay, is we're going to look at the effect of flap. Now we've got 3 stages of flap, and when we adjust the flap, we adjust the shape of the wing.
Yeah.
And it makes the wing more efficient at different times for different things. Okay, now at the moment we're flying along with the wing clean, as I'd call it, with the flaps up, and Mr. Piper has designed the wing so that the aircraft will be as efficient as possible going from A to B. But we might want to do different things with the aeroplane, slow it down for example, or go down, okay? But when we change the flaps, we change the shape of the wing, and we change what's called the centre of pressure, i.e. where the lift looks like on the top of the wing, okay? Which adjusts the centre of gravity slightly,
Yep.
if you like. Or the centre of gravity doesn't change, but it makes a different couple on it, okay? So if you look out the front, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply, without either of us controlling the aircraft, 1 stage of flap. See what happens to the nose.
Yep, she lifts
Rises
immediately.
quite markedly. And that means I start to climb. So if I don't want to climb, what I actually have to do is I have to pitch the nose over to fly the aircraft level.
Yeah. But the attitude's now
Attitude's slightly lower.
lower. Yeah.
Okay, so putting out that stage of flap has affected the attitude, and it also means that I'm actually looking slightly more over the nose, so I can see
Yeah.
more, which is useful when I want to come in and land, for example.
But it's less efficient
Yeah.
in terms of...
Well, what I've done is I've given the wing more lift, but not an awful lot more drag, a little bit more drag. If I put on the second stage of flap, okay, what I'm going to do is I haven't trimmed the aircraft out, so I'm just going to talk about the trimmer right at the last bit, okay? If I do the second stage of flap, again, you'll see that there's the same sort of effect. Look at the speed, it's about 90, so we've lost a couple of knots, not much. Again, you see that effect.
Yeah.
Okay, but this time what I've done with my 25 degrees of flap is I've introduced a little bit more drag into the equation.
Yeah.
Not much.
I've seen the speeds drop down as well.
Yeah, and you'll see that I haven't had to trim quite so much for
Yeah.
this, okay? So this is, again, quite a fairly benign bit, but you see the speeds drop back. Now the last stage of flap, which is the 40 degrees of flap, has got hardly any more lift, but a lot more drag. So as I pull the lever up, okay,
Yeah.
not much has happened.
No.
But
I can see the
the
speed
speed's
dropping quite
back.
rapidly.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is, when I give you control, okay, is to raise the flap in stages, looking out over the front, okay, and you'll feel the need to trim the aircraft, and we'll do that later.
Okay.
Okay, so put your hand on the flap lever. You have to pull it back to get the weight of it.
Yeah.
And it's much heavier because we've got all of the air speed and the air pressure on it. Okay, so pull it up, push the silver button.
Okay.
Lower it nice and gently.
To second stage?
Second stage.
Yeah.
Okay, not much of a pitch change.
No.
Now I want you to hold this attitude now, so raise it to the first stage, or 10 degrees of flat. And to hold the attitude, you're going to have to start probably pushing a bit on the controls, aren't you? Or pulling. Pulling. Marvellous.
Well, I'm home after my first flying lesson, my first adventure into the air. I've been up for a couple of hours, and I feel, now the adrenaline has passed and I've reflected on the day, nervous about the task ahead. It's a huge undertaking. I went with confidence and I thought, this is great. I've read the books. I know what the controls do. Do you know, I felt like I was 17 again, and I'd sat behind the wheel of my very first instructor's car. It was a red Nissan Micra, awful. I'd sat there, I'd put my hands on the steering wheel and suddenly realised I have no idea what I'm doing. And I didn't. I got my hands on the yoke, and everything that I'd read, everything that I'd imagined it would be, was completely different. Theory is one thing, practical is something totally different to that. The theory can teach you how to understand the practical, I think, is what I'm trying to get at. But actually doing the practical thing, that is what I need to learn. I need to master the art, the finesse of flying. I've got the coordination of Bambi in the air at the moment, and I have sausages for fingers. But hopefully, over the next 45 hours or so, which, now I say it out loud, is less than 2 days in the air, I'm going to master how to not only fly, but take off, land, navigate, control, and deal with all kinds of situations in an aircraft. Wow.
I don't think you're going to have too much trouble, Grant, getting through. Everyone finds that there is some point at which things do get difficult, especially if you've been lucky and you found things reasonably easy. At some point there is one thing that you'll suddenly go, no, I can't do that.
Mathematics.
Well,
Maths and navigation and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I
well,
will struggle with.
There's quite a lot of mental arithmetic
Yeah.
that will come in handy.
Well, it makes me feel slightly better that Captain Mark Phillips has got the confidence I won't find it too difficult. Don't forget to follow my blog online at the GoFly social media outlets, and subscribe to the audio podcast through your normal podcast provider. Just search for Flying Lessons with GoFly and Grant Francis. We'll update the videos at the next key stage of my flying education. For now though, thanks for watching.